We are Southeastern 16. I'm Chase Robinson, talking some SEC football today, and I want to talk about why I think the Tennessee Volunteers will be a playoff team in the 12-team college football playoff field again in 2025. So we'll dive into that over the next few minutes as we are now looking towards the 2025 season. Tennessee, of course, made the run to the college football playoff. They lost to Ohio State in the first round as a number 9 seed. But I think there's several keys to Tennessee that I think that will get them back there. And you say, whoa, wait a minute. Dylan Sampson, their guy running the football, he's gone. That's a big loss. That's a big loss for Tennessee. There's no way around that. But I do think there's ways around that too. And so that's where I'll start. I'll start with the running game. Look, I mean, Dylan Sampson was crucial for Tennessee this year. He was key. He was not able to run the ball well in the games that they lost. And so therefore you can see how big of a piece he was to this Tennessee Volunteers team. They led the SEC in rushing this year as last year. So in 23 and 24, they led the SEC in rushing. And obviously Dylan Sampson, a huge part of that. And he's a guy that's irreplaceable. But they do have a couple of running backs that I really like, that I feel like can pick up the running game and continue to move it forward to where Tennessee is not having to neglect the run game, but they have a couple of guys who can kind of fill that role. We saw Desean Bishop this year, and he's built very similar to Dylan Sampson. Sampson's like 5'11", 201. Bishop is 5'10", 200 pounds. So they're built very similar. They look alike. Bishop 74 carries this season, 455 yards and 3 touchdowns on the year. So Bishop got in and he got some meaningful snaps, carried the ball 74 times. And so he got some reps. And I think that's big for Tennessee to have a guy who has been able to get some reps here. And then you got Peyton Lewis as well. We saw him as well. 64 carries, 339 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he was able to get in and get 64 carries as well. But those two guys, I feel like working together and utilizing, again, especially Bishop, who's built like Sampson. Sampson's a strong runner. He's hard to bring down. That's a lot of the reason he was so successful, is that teams just struggled stopping him. And even really slowing him down. Bishop's built that way as well. So I think that's a bonus for Tennessee as well, to have these two guys to kind of try to fill the role of Dylan Sampson. Again, Sampson's leaving a big hole on this roster, but you got a couple of backs in there who can run the ball pretty good as well. So I think the Vols are in good hands, even with losing Sampson there in running the football. So where's the production going to come from? Running the ball is going to come from Desean Bishop, and we'll see Peyton Lewis in there as well. Now, again, we're sitting here in January talking about this. A lot could change, I understand, before the start of the season, but just looking at who's on the roster, what's going on right now, I think Desean Bishop can be the guy running the football there for the Vols. I want to move over to the defensive side of the ball for a second. We'll talk about another reason why I think Tennessee will be a college football playoff team again in 2025. This week, we're recording this. I'm recording this on January 16th, Thursday. This week, Tim Banks, defense coordinator at Tennessee, signed an extension with the Vols. And you're like, okay, defense coordinator signed an extension. That's huge. That is huge for Tennessee. Tim Banks is a crucial part of this staff. Tennessee's defense, we know, was really good this year. 11 of the 13 opponents Tennessee played this year were held under 20 points. That's remarkable. I mean, that is, they went a while. I don't have the numbers in front of me where teams weren't scoring touchdowns. They were kicking field goals, struggling getting in the end zone on this Tennessee defense. But 11 of the 13 opponents were held under 20 points. That's incredible. And you think about Georgia being one of those, they lost that game. Ohio State, obviously, got over 20 points. They lost that game. But the defense did a great job of holding their own. 5th nationally in yards per play allowed. Only 4.56 yards, 4.56 yards allowed per play. That's great numbers. They have a great leader on defense in Tim Banks. I thought his game plans were great this season. They played some tough teams. There's no way around that. They struggled at times, but hey, overall, I thought the Tennessee defense was great. We saw that. We talked about it all season. We saw in that North Carolina State game, week 2, we were like, this defense is elite. This defensive front is going to cause problems. And they did all season long. And I think, obviously, it's the players on the field, but I think Tim Banks brings something with his game plan, with his preparation that really does something for Tennessee. And so him signing an extension, him staying at Tennessee is another reason I think this defense is going to remain elite. They've got some work to do. They may need to go get a couple guys out of the portal, whatever, fill some of these holes. But I think with a leader like Tim Banks, you're going to have a good defense. He's going to dial it up. He's going to scheme it up. Players buy into him and what he does. Tim Banks, great defensive coordinator. Him signing that extension, I think is another reason why Tennessee could be in the playoffs again in 2025. The third reason, I think, is just quarterback development. We like to talk about Nico Iamaleava, and rightfully so. Great quarterback. He was highly touted going into his time at Tennessee. But we saw some inconsistencies. And look, it's going to happen. I mean, it's football, and we saw some inconsistencies, but I think we also saw development. SEC football, really football in general, not just SEC football. Football in general, very offensive centric. You got to have a quarterback. Got to have a quarterback. And, there was rumors, whatever. He was leaving, going elsewhere. I don't buy it. I think he works well with Heupel. I think they could do some big things together. I think we're seeing Nico get comfortable. You got to be comfortable in the system, comfortable with your coaches, comfortable on the field with your players. I think we're seeing that with Nico. And I thought we saw some good improvement as the season went on. And that's just going to get better. Your decision-making, the more you play, the better decisions you make as a quarterback. The more reps you get, the better you're going to be. So I think Nico's going to continue to improve, continue to develop. He's a great quarterback. I think his decisions are going to get better. And I think that will do nothing but benefit Tennessee and make this a better football team. When you have a quarterback like Nico, when you got the wide receivers that they have, when you have Deshaun Bishop and Peyton Lewis running the football, I think offensively they're going to have what it takes to be a playoff team. Defensively, like we said, great defensive coordinator. They're going to fill the holes they need to. I think they could be solid defensively again. That's why I think we'll be seeing the Tennessee Volunteers in the college football playoff 12-team field in 2025 once again, and get to their schedule too. I mean, scheduled just like this past year, pretty much. Obviously flip-flopped. They'll have to go to Tuscaloosa. That'll be tough. They'll have to go to the Swamp. That'll be tough. They'll get Georgia at home. I mean, there's tough games on that schedule. There's no way around that. But I thought they navigated it well enough this season, obviously, to get to the playoffs. I think they could do that again next year. And so I think we will see the Vols in the playoff. Obviously, it's January. Tons can happen between now and until we kick off late August, early September. But right now, because of the reasons I just gave you, I think the Tennessee Vols are going to be a playoff team again in 2025. And we'll have you covered all things SEC football right here, Southeastern 16. Subscribe if you have not already. We're going to have content year-round when it comes to SEC football. All off-season, we'll be talking anything as far as SEC football, transfer portal, what your team looks like, what you can expect in 2025. We'll have it for you here on Southeastern 16. So subscribe, like this video, and we will be back with more. I'm Chase Robinson.